Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 9 months progress report. My name is Virág Róna, and I am a second-year resident at the Department of Prosthodontics, Semmelweis University. My supervisor is Zoltán Géci, and my scientific methodology supervisor is Kata Kelemen. My mission is to research the usage of polymers in dentistry, mainly focusing on chitosan, and my vision is to find some new alternatives that can be used in clinical dentistry. I have two ongoing projects right now. The first one started in September and the second one started in November. The first one is the effect of chitosan on the number of streptococcus mutans in saliva. Streptococcus mutans is a facultatively anaerobic gram-positive coccus which can be commonly found in the human oral cavity. And it is a well-known fact that there is an association between this bacteria and caries, and actually the first one who wrote down this association was Clark in 1924. This bacteria has a very important role in the development of caries by forming an EPS-rich and low pH milieu. Chitosan is a polycationic polymer. Polycationic polymers are antimicrobial polymers which has growth-inhibiting and destructive properties. They have two main functional groups. The first one is a cationic group and the second one is a hydrophilic group. And with the help of the cationic group, they can form some pores on the cell membranes, and by this they can increase the cell membrane permeability. So our aim is to investigate the efficacy of polycationic polymers, chitosan, on the number of streptococcus mutans in saliva. Our clinical question is that how efficient is chitosan in reducing the number of streptococcus mutans in saliva? Here you can see our PICO, and the hypothesis was that chitosan reduces the number of bacteria. Here you can see the search key that we used for our systematic search. All in all, we got 6,258 articles, and after the duplication removal, the title abstract selection, and the full text selection, we got 4 full eligible articles. Out of these 4 full eligible articles, we could only use 3 in our meta-analysis part, which you can see here in this forest plot. So as you can see, like in the baseline values of the articles, there is a high heterogeneity, and the reason for this could be that every single individual person has different bacterial flora, and this bacterial flora is influenced by several factors throughout life. So all in all, we can say that in every case, we found that there was a fall-off in the bacteria numbers, but only in the third case this fall-off was significant. So all in all, we can say that, of course, these are very few studies, but if we would have more studies to rely on, we would see if chitosan is truly a great alternative as a primary prevention tool for caries, but as we can see right now from this spot, it can be a promising agent. So the strength of our meta-analysis is that all of the articles were randomized control trials, and this is the first meta-analysis in the topic. And the limitations is that our statistician had to use imputed standard deviations and correlation in 2 cases, and there is only 3 available studies for the meta-analysis. So in a conclusion, we can say that chitosan reduced the number of streptococcus mutans, and the implication for practice is to use chitosan as a primary prevention tool for caries, and the implication for research is to have more clinical studies and more in vitro studies, also animal studies, to have more reliable results and higher evidence level. So here you can see the manuscript status. I already finished my manuscript and I sent it to the internal review in May. And after I got back my manuscript, I corrected with the comments that I got, and I sent it back. And right now we are waiting for the language check. My second topic is about the effect of chitosan on the number of Enterococcus faecalis in the root canal. It's also a systematic review and a meta-analysis. So as you can see, there are 2 main reasons for extracting a tooth nowadays, and my first project is about caries, and my second project is about the endodontic diseases. So, I'm sorry. Enterococcus faecalis is a gram-positive bacteria which is capable of growing in both anaerobic and aerobic environments. This bacteria is commonly detected in asymptomatic and persistent endodontic infections, and the prevalence in such infections ranges from 24 to 77%. And there is an important thing that you need to know, that nowadays the gold standard material, irrigation material in dentistry is sodium hypochlorite. But sodium hypochlorite has some cytotoxic effects. So our question is that could chitosan as a less toxic material be a new alternative to sodium hypochlorite? So our clinical question is that how efficient is chitosan in reducing the number of Enterococcus faecalis in the root canal? Here you can see the PICO that we used. We had two outcomes. The first one was the number of bacteria in CFU per milliliter, and the second one was the number of bacteria in inhibition rate. And the hypothesis is that chitosan reduces the number of Enterococcus faecalis in the root canal. Here you can see the clinical and the research implications. So directly it is to decrease the number of bacteria, and indirectly to decrease the number of endodontic infections. Here you can see the preliminary search and the search key that we used for it. All in all, we found 889 articles, and after the duplication removal, the full text and the title abstract selection, we got 10 full eligible articles. Here is the progress of my second project. Right now we got the figures and the tables from the statistician. So here you can see like two of them. The first outcome is the CFU per milliliter. So here in this plot you can see that there are 6 articles. In the, here you can see the 3 articles that said that there is not quite a difference between sodium hypochlorite and chitosan. And in 3 cases we got significant differences. In 2 of them chitosan was better or favored chitosan, and in 1 of them sodium hypochlorite was better. And actually we digged deep down into the methods of these articles to find some reasons that why is it that in one case the sodium hypochlorite, in one case chitosan was so in balance. And actually in the last 2 articles the method was exactly the same, and as all of the other results are tending to that chitosan is as good as or better than sodium hypochlorite, we will say that maybe it was because of a statistical or a measurement error. So the next one is about the inhibition rate. Here you can see that we use 2 subgroups. The first one is when chitosan was below 1%, and the second one is when chitosan was 1% or more than 1%. And in the first group, you can say that actually, here in 2 cases, sodium hypochlorite was better, and in 1 case, it says that it was similar to each other. And when you can say that when the concentration of chitosan is increases, then the results is more tending to chitosan. So actually you can say that as the concentration of chitosan increases, it gets so much better. So all in all, we can say that with more studies we would have more evidence, but right now it seems like that chitosan could be a great alternative to sodium hypochlorite as an irrigation material. So here is an overview of my 2 projects. I want to submit my first project in July, and I want to submit my second project in September. And I want to thank you for your attention with a quote from Jane Austen: "It isn't what we say or think that defines us, but what we do." Thank you so much.
Thank you for the great work. I'm curious, what was the form of chitosan used, because it was not clear for me. Is the solution, or how this polymer is contacted with the bacteria? I guess it needs huge surfaces and time to have the effect.
Yes.
Which in this case is not that feasible, like with the touching of hydrochloric acid.
Mm-hmm. So in the 2 topics, there were different methods. In the first topic, they used chitosan as a chewing gum material, and then they chewed and they took samples from the saliva. In the second topic, where they compared the sodium hypochlorite and the chitosan, they used the solutions. With the chitosan, they used I think acetic acid to solve this And after, so they used some kind of agars like BHI and like tryptophan soy agar and things like that, and they put like this solution into the agars, and then they like check.
So that was not an in vivo but an out vivo.
Yes, it was an in vitro study.
Congratulations for your presentation. I would like to ask about your second project. So you have said that chitosan is either as good or better than hypochlorite for irrigation. It would be better to replace natural hypochlorite because it has many disadvantages. On the other hand, one of its main advantages is that it's very cheap. Can you tell us something about the cost of chitosan irrigation, or there is no commercialized product yet, so there is no cost about it?
Yeah, well, because this product is not really commonly used nowadays in dentistry, I think it will be a little bit like more expensive than hypochlorite. But on the other hand, it has many like beneficial effects, like it's so much less cytotoxic than sodium hypochlorite. Is that I think I think it's better to like pay a little more to have these kind of good effects. On the other hand,
congratulations on your great work.
Thank you.
I just want to ask, I know that you have unfortunately the small number of patients investigated, but regarding the heterogeneity, I'm just curious if you could find the reason for the heterogeneity in your articles. And the second question would be if you have any idea for your work next, based on your current work, like to do some control trial or whatever.
Yes, thank you. So according to the heterogeneity, as I mentioned before in the first project, I think the reason for that could be that there is a different oral bacterial flora in every human individual. And the samples in the first project was taken from the human saliva. So actually, as you and me and any other one in this room is not the same, like the oral flora is not the same. So I think the baseline heterogeneity could be the reason for this. And in the other project, there were not so much heterogeneity. Only one article were the side of the sodium hypochlorite, and this is what I mentioned, that we checked like the methods part, and we couldn't really find any reasons for that. So we think that it was like a measurement error or something, because and all of the other results are tending to chitosan. So yes, and according to the study design, we were thinking about that what would be like the best to use, like to standardize these studies, because as you can see, not all of them use the same agar, not all of them use like the same incubation time. So they were quite similar, but not the same. And I think that we should benefit if we would standardize these studies.
Thank you very much.